זוהר פרשת לך לך, יום ראשון. לך לך מארצך וגומר, בי אבא פתח ואמר, שימו אליי אווירי לב, הרחוקים מצדקה, שימו אליי אווירי לב, כמתקיפים לביהו דחוויה, דחמן שבלב אורכי בורייתא, ולא מסתכלן בהו. It is written, לך לך מארצך, go. And Lekha, there's a lot of different interpretation. What is Lekha? For you, because of you, because it's for you, etc. So Rabbi Patach says, ask the question, he says, why did Abraham get so close to Hashem, like more than anybody else? So he says, listen, all the ones that have a hard heart and are far from doing tzedakah. He says, how their heart is so hard of the ones that do not want to see the what we call the shevile pnimiut, which means the inner path of the Torah, the pnimiut of the Torah, and they just are satisfied with what is revealed of the Torah, but they don't try to understand and go further into the pnimiut of the Torah. And their heart is hardened because they do not want to do teshuvah and get closer to Hashem. By teshuvah we mean trying to get closer to Him, right? By learning the pnimiut of the Torah. Ve'ikun abir elev, arechokim etzedakah, medachakim eoraita. And they are called people that have a hard, we can say hard heart, hard. Okay, and are far from the tzedakah, and also far from the ways of the Torah. And it says also the Torah is called tzedakah. Rabbi Yoskia Amar, "Dimitchake mikdusha velichu ve'inu lechekin minei." ובגין כך ייקחון אבירי לב, רחוקים מצדקה. He says, since they make a distance between them and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they are far from Him, it's because of that they are called with a hard heart and far from the tzedakah. דלה בען לקרא לגבי קדושה בריחו, בגין כך אינו רחוקים מצדקה. Since, again, they not want to get close to Hashem. Because how do we get close to Hashem? By studying the pnimiut of the Torah. In other words, not being satisfied with just a very simple explanation of the pshat. Is when someone says, no, I want to understand more. Like anything else, right? You want to get good at something. You want to learn more about it. You want to be an accountant. You can take one course and learn about accounting, or you can go and become a CA and then you become an expert in accounting, right? It's the same thing with the Torah. The Torah, there's a pshat. But then the real Torah is to go in, to dwell inside, and to try to understand. And this is what it says, Rechok ma'atzedakah. And why does it say also that it's a heart? Because there's no feelings. Because when you have feelings, you want to get closer. This is the whole idea of liking someone, right? Or loving someone. It's when you get closer to that person. It's the same thing with the Torah. You have to love the Torah to get closer to it. And since they are far from the tzedakah, okay, then they are also far from the shalom. Why? Because the midat of tzedakah in the sefirot represents tiferet, right? And the shalom is the sefirah yesod. And so they are both together. Because when we see the 10 sefirot, so we know tiferet is in the middle, right? And the yesod is the one that is at the bottom, right before a malchut. So it's like one goof, right? So one is with the other. So the same thing, tiferet, which is the shalom, and also represented by the Torah, and also the shalom, which is the yesod, go together. Dirtiv en shalom amar Hashem la reshaim. Ma ta'ama? What does that mean? There's no shalom for the reshaim. Begin the inu lechokim tzedakah. Why? Because they are far from the tzedakah. תרזה, אברהם בא אל קרבה לקדושה בריחו, להתקרב אברהם, רצה לקרב לקדוש ברוך הוא. He says, Abraham wanted to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, it's not that he got closer because he wanted to. That was his will was to get closer to him. As it is written, Ahavta tzedek v'tisnei resha. You will love the justice and you will hate the resha, or the wrong ways. Begin, the ahav tzedek v'sana resha itkarev letzedakah. And so since he did love the justice and he did not like what was wicked, that's why he got close to the tzedakah. So also tzedakah, of course, comes from tzedek. And tzedek means to be right, right? Like what tzaddik, tzedakah, it's all the same root, right? And tzaddik means a righteous person, and tzedakah is also righteous. So here again, if we're talking about the system of the Sefirot, we say that the tzedek is malchut, right? And so since he wanted to be close to the malchut, malchut also represents the Shekhinah, then he got closer to the Midat Tiferet, right? So because again, the Tiferet represents the 6 Sefirot from the Sefirah Chesed till the Sefirah Yesod, right? And then all the Sefirot give what they have to give to Yesod, and then Yesod transmits everything to Malchut, and then Malchut transmits everything to the Tachtonim, right? So it's a whole, it's in harmony, and everything has to be together. And if nothing comes to Yesod, then nothing will come to Malchut, and nothing will come to us, right? That's why it's written, Avraham Ohavi, Avraham my love. My Ta'ama Ohavi. Why is it called Ohavi? Begin dichtiv, as it is written, Ahavta tzedek. You love the justice. Dechimuta dikucha berichu derachimle Avraham mikol bene deche deavo abirele. He did the love that Kadosh Baruch Hu, that he had for Abraham Avinu. He says more than anybody in his generation, because they were far from getting close to him. And they were far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is also called tzedakah. Now, why does he make this analogy? Because as we know, Avraham Avinu was Achnasat Ochim. What is Achnasat Ochim? It's tzedakah. What is tzedakah? Tzedakah, you give something to someone that needs it, right? Someone needs money, you give him tzedakah. Right? The tzedakah is more than that. Tzedakah is also just not money. Somebody needs help for something, you help him, that's also tzedakah. Right? It's all tzedakah. We mean, because you come from tzedek, and tzedek means to be right, to be righteous. That's what we do. Now, Avraham Avinu, that's what he did. He did it for two ways. First way was Anasat Ochim. So people needed to eat, right? So he will bring them to his tent and give them to eat. And the second thing, they needed to get closer to Hashem. And this is what he was doing to them, bringing them up, first of all, as guests, and second, helping them to get close to Hashem. So this is real tzedakah. Rabbi Yosef Patach, Ma yidot mishkelotecha Hashem tzevaot, Yema itlon libnei nasha listakela b'vchona dekucha v'lechu. How much it is important for man really to look and to meditate on the avodat of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to do it as it's supposed to be. דהה כל בני נשה לא ידרה ולא מסתכל על מה קיים על מה ואינון על מה קיימים. Why? Because most men do not know and do not try even to understand on what does the world stand, and even on what for themselves. You know, what is the reason? What they're doing exactly? They just do things automatically and they don't think. And of course, this is why in the beginning it says, "But the pinimit of the Torah." When somebody doesn't think and meditate on the pinimit of the Torah, then he just does things as they come. You know, doesn't try to understand the reason, to understand the purpose of. Just does it, and this is being far from the pinimit of the Torah, and being far from the real avodat Hashem. Dechad barak shabechu alma. When Hashem created the world, avad shemaya me'esh u'mayim mitarevim kachada. He says when he created, he put the Shamayim, right, and which were Esh, which were fire, and Mayim, together, right, and the Ulbata Aglidu v'Kaimim v'Rucha ila'a, and after they went together, and there was this equilibrium, if we can say, as they are, because there's like this how it is separated between the Shamayim in here. Mitaman shatil alma lekayim ma'al samchin. And from there, He made it possible for men to be alive, we can say. In other words, he created the amudim. He created the pillars of physical existence, right? And that's what we were able to live in this world. And he said, but this was done with his spirit, right? It was not done with his hands. It's not someone that builds something. It was done with the spirit of Hashem, right? With his word. So this word that created the physical world is the same word that exists and that sustains all the spiritual world. In other words, the physical world is a product of the spiritual word, right? So by trying to understand the spiritual, he says that's what we are in the physical world. Everything is spiritual. The physical is just a result of that. And we know that if the spirit leaves in any way, okay, then everything will just be destroyed. המרגיז ארס ממקומה ועמודיה התלפצון וכל הקיים על אורייתא. And that's how we know that the earth can be moved from its place. And of course, here the Zohar is already talking about how the equilibrium there is in the earth when it goes around, right? And of course, we know, like the Sorma says, if it was just 1 centimeter away from its regular path, right, then everything will just blow up. He says, but this, we have to understand that everything is Omed al Torah. דקד ישראל משתדלה ואורייתא מתקיים על מה? ואינון קיימים וסמיכים קיימים ואותרו בקביל שלהם. He said, when Israel are עוסקים בתורה, so עוסקים, לא לומדים תורה, עוסקים. That means they are busy. עוסקים, I mean, עוסק means work. This is the whole thing, working with the Torah. Okay, מתקיים העולם, then the world stands. And this amudim that we're talking about, that sustain the whole world, then they are what's supposed to be, and they hold it. So, תחזה, בשעתה דתרה בפלגות לילה, you come, see, when there's חצות הלילה, the middle of the night, ושבריחו על התגלה בעדן שמעה עם הצדיקים. And Hashem comes in Gan Eden to be with the tzadikim. כולהו אילני דבגינתא דעדן מזמרן ושברן קמא. All these ilanot, these trees, we're not talking about trees like we know them, right? We're talking about spiritual trees. In the Gan Eden, they start to praise, and as is written, Azrenu Atzeh Ya'ar, etc. Now here, just one thing. If we look at it, it says that the world is, when we study the Torah, then everything that sustains the physical world is in place. Which we don't study anymore, then it won't stand anymore. So from here we understand how important it is to learn the pinimiyut of the Torah. Because if just the Torah, the things are imagined with the pinimiyut of the Torah, which means it's not only the physical world. When we study the pinimiyut, then everything is put in order, and plus the Shefa is able to come from Tiferet to Yesod to Malchut and to us. Shem Olam, Amen.